Hi, my name is Gerhard Schwartner, and welcome to our LinkedIn Live broadcast. Today, we have the great pleasure of meeting with Andy Morehouse. He's the CEO of Talewind. Hi, Andy. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Gerhard. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'd like to frame the conversation by sort of trying to attempt what Tailwind is doing. It is a sales and automation and sales acceleration platform. It helps focus sellers to improve speed, accuracy, and consistency of proposals and content. So it's all about creating a better digital buying experience in the process, and buyer experience is really the king. Did I do right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep.
So, Andy, you have a lot of experience in sales, but also you've started your company and you had to shift and become an entrepreneur that sells. So, what are the things that you're seeing on the horizon in sales? What is changing? What is different? And what do you think are the biggest challenges
Hmm.
that sales teams are facing for winning new business?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I would say that today it's absolutely a question of how sellers can best engage our buyers in a digital and remote space. Um, so companies that are providing value and compelling offering to those channels in a way that's resonating with specific buyers, I think they're winning. They're winning more deals over competitors who are not doing this. As we think about what has changed in the last decade, I go back to 2012, 2013. We had, Slack, and we had Zoom, and then sometime later we had Microsoft Teams. The way that we all work has dramatically changed in the last decade, but the trend didn't just accelerate because when we had COVID, it then completely changed again overnight.
Yeah.
Um, and so this obviously has changed the way that buyers engage with sellers. There was a study, what was it, October 2020? McKinsey released this, and they showed that 70% of B2B buyers preferred to evaluate the purchase decisions they were making and even make a decision in a digital or remote environment. And I think more
Right.
alarming is that a full 22% of all B2B buyers said they would make their purchase decision in a fully self-service environment. So let's think about that as sellers for a second. That means that today, uh, post COVID, post all these changes, nearly 1 in 4 of every one of our buyers are going to evaluate the solution that we're selling and make a purchase decision without ever speaking to us as a seller.
Yeah.
And so,
And I think it's really, that's B2B, but it also corresponds to B2C trend because
right.
Amazon.com has changed the game with
Yep.
technology. And their strategy was to sell, $10,000 products and to do billions of sales without a salesperson.
That's right. Well, I think we saw that trend even earlier in the B2C market with things like guided selling. I mean, you can go to
Yeah,
apple.com and you can completely do a self-service checkout and configure a custom-built computer with the
right.
processor you want, the different RAM you want. And so technologies like this were in the B2C side, I think even beforehand. So yeah, I think what we're seeing now it's come full circle with even complex B2B solutions that people are evaluating. And so that's something that we need to understand as sellers is ask ourselves, how are we showing up in the digital space and the online space? I think buyers are increasingly looking to that digital buying experience when comparing what we're offering to our competitors. And that experience that we deliver must serve to distinguish us from everyone else. So I think that, to your question, I think that's one of the greatest challenges that companies face right now is how we best facilitate that kind of self-service digital buying experience in
Right.
a way that provides value, but also in a personalized and compelling way for every buyer that we work with. I think when we do that well, we're going to see dramatically better results. So here's an example. Last year, we at Tailwind, we did some of our own research. I went out and surveyed hundreds of Fortune 1000 leaders, and I asked them some similar questions to the one you just asked me. And a couple points that stood out to me is that 1/3 of Fortune 1000 leaders said they felt embarrassed by the quality of their sales content,
Right.
while 40% of sales leaders said they were losing deals because it was taking them too long to
Yeah.
respond to buyers with content. And so I think this is an area we have to show up better as sellers, and it starts with having
Right.
technology and tools that can facilitate it.
Yeah. I think that we are leaving the linear world, and
Mhm.
we are entering the exponential world, where things happen simultaneously. And I think replicating the buy experience online is not just the result of COVID, but also the result of better technology like yours, where you have proposals online, you have a sales office in the cloud, and that is revolutionizing the way buyers buy, and it makes the experience better for the buyer and for the seller.
Yep, that's right.
So, tell me your vision, and how can Tailwind help sales teams succeed more and grow exponentially today?
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Well, I guess I'd start with the journey that brought us to Tailwind. My background is in HR technology. I worked for a company that sold enterprise HR software to the Fortune 1000, and it was a complex sale. We had a very complex proposal process. We had a lot of bespoke and personalized content that we would submit to every single prospect that we had, and that was time consuming. And what I learned in the course of my time at that company is that the better that we showed up, the better chances we had of winning. So we had started developing our own internal processes of being able to personalize and brand all of our content for every single deal and to automate the creation of those resources. So one very good example is with the sales proposal. Our sales proposal was 40 pages long. It took us 6 hours each time to write each proposal for each individual prospect. And that was too much. And so we created what we called a proposal generator. In the very beginning, the rudimentary version was just using mail merge between Word and Excel.
Yeah.
But we essentially created a process where instead of the arduous task of writing and editing new content every time, we could, as a seller, fill out an Excel form, a series of fields, and then use that to merge into a Word template and take that 6 hour time of writing a proposal down to 15 minutes. And this is where this journey sort of started for us. Um, and Fast forward a few years, I closed a really large deal for the organization. It was Apple. I'm happy to share that information. Um, and I remember doing a win-loss interview with them and asking, why is it that you chose our company?
Hmm.
And I was really surprised by the answer. The answer was, we chose you because think about it. You know, when we do a win-loss interview, usually the answer we expect is, well, we loved your product, we love your service, we liked your team. But this time they said, we chose you because we liked your sales process.
Mm.
And I thought that was very interesting. I
Right.
said, "Oh, you have to explain that one to me. I haven't heard that one before." And she said, "Well, look, you know, we've been working together for 6 months. There was an RFP. The procurement team has been involved, and over that time, you've sent us a brochure, 2 videos that you created for us to demonstrate capabilities. You sent us a presentation and came out and gave that in person. You did a proposal, and so on." And they told us, we went back and looked over everything you sent us over these past few months, and there wasn't a single typo anywhere. And you
Wow.
branded every piece of content for our organization. Uh, and your responsiveness was always within the same day, within a couple hours of our ask. And so she told me, it was so clear that you cared about our business so much more than your competitors because of how you showed up with your responsiveness and the
Right.
quality of your content. And this is all digital content. And so I thought, well, that's pretty cool. But the next thing that she told me is really what hit me like a ton of bricks. And she said, that experience that we had with you and the sales team told us everything that we needed to know about working with the rest of your team, about the integrity and quality of your work. And I thought that that was really an amazing insight because we
Yeah.
know as sellers, we know as marketers that we're on the front line providing that first impression of our organization. But a lot of times we think that ends with demoing a product or talking about the high level overview of our company. When in reality, the experience of working with us as sellers and the experience that we provide during the sales process is forming an impression about the culture, about the integrity, about the work quality that your organization is going to provide in your product and from your service teams. And I think that's something that we really need to embrace and understand. And so when that occurred, that really kind of pushed me forward into this idea of we should start a Tailwind. And so myself, a number of colleagues from that former company, that led us to launch Tailwind with the vision of being able to help other B2B sales teams, particularly, to be able to accomplish what I did when I had that experience selling to Apple and how they perceived just how much we were head and shoulders, in their words, above our competitors. And so Tailwind is a platform that we're providing to sales teams where we're going to automatically build all of your sales documents that have variable content. So whether it's a sales presentation, it's a contract with e-signature, or it's a proposal or an NDA, anything that you spend time editing and creating that's bespoke for a prospect, we want to build an automation around that so it can be instantaneous. And then we want to deliver that in an online digital sales room to create an experience that's branded and housed all in one place for prospects. And then where you can attach videos of yourself, you can upload other resources, you can have approval workflows and e-signature if you're including a contract
Right.
element. But the idea is that we're creating this space, right? And we're
Right.
automating and personalizing this content and being responsive with high quality content and a better experience for our
Right.
buyers so that we're showing up in a way that makes it easy for them to want to buy from us. So that's a high level overview of what we're looking at with
Right.
Tailwind.
I think
Um,
there are three things that stick out to me. One is you talk about the buying journey. And what people don't talk about is the speed at which people make a decision.
mhm.
And in some company it takes weeks, but in smart companies it doesn't, because if they have all the information and the quality information, they need to make a decision. They make it fast.
Mhm.
The second thing is that the digital quality of the information enhances the emotional experience, where they say, like you stated earlier,
Mhm.
if this is a sample on how you operate, then we are confident that when it comes to the delivery, you're going to deploy the same mindset where you are 100% responsive. And I think the third is that um, you have a mindset that's committed to quality, uh,
Mhm.
and uh, and that quality translates into high value, and that's what buyers are really looking for.
Yeah.
It's a digital empowered value-based selling process
Yes.
where everybody says the three keys to success is people, process, and technology. In your case, it was actually the process that was digitized, that was not just high touch, but also high insight,
Yeah.
um, made you then think of the next step. How can we replicate that and make it
Right.
available to other sales organizations?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, as we think about, we have less and less face time as sellers with our potential buyers.
Yeah,
As I pointed out
yeah,
earlier, sometimes none. So how is it that we can put sort of this personal experience, this value you're talking about, into where they're living online in that digital space? I think that's really important in every deal that we're working on that we do that. The other thing I think that's the benefit of moving this direction is being able to have more metrics and view into who our buyers are and what they're looking at. I mean, I remember so many years firing across emails with attachments, my proposal or a brochure
right.
or a video, and I have no idea. Did they open it? Did they look at it? A week would go by. Um, and it's funny because for a long time we've had metrics like this and things like HubSpot with our marketing, we can see who's looking at that. But once we get into the sales conversation, we're sort of losing an opportunity or missing an
Yeah.
opportunity to do that a little bit. And so one of the things we're doing with Tailwind is that every single buyer, because a lot of times, especially in B2B sales, there's not just one buyer, there's a buying committee. I mean, there's
Yeah.
an executive sponsor, sometimes there's procurement. Um, and each person that's invited to view content, they all actually log in to the system, and the seller can see by name who they are, even if they've never met them. And so now I can see, oh, Joe over here just viewed my proposal. Who's that? I go to LinkedIn. Oh, this is their executive VP.
Yeah.
I haven't met them yet. And now I know this is likely the executive sponsor. This is really good information for us to have as sellers. And then I think the next step from that is being able to look at our wins and our losses and evaluate what content is resonating during the sales cycle, what my buying committee is looking at, and how does that correlate to when I'm winning deals and losing deals. So I think there's a whole nother level and opportunity for analytics that we could be doing with this. But for me, that's sort of the cherry on top. I'm passionate about helping sellers be more successful and making it easy for them to get in front of buyers with a better, more high quality kind of offering, I'll say, and making it easier for buyers to be able to see that solution. I think I'll say it this way. I think that when we show up and we present an offering, as 1/3 of sales leaders are saying, that's embarrassing, then a lot of buyers just dismiss us because they draw conclusions about our team and our product based on the
Yeah.
quality of that experience that we're providing. And
How
so it
long
may be that we have the best solution, but we're not getting them. So yeah.
how long does it take to for a buyer to look at a demo at Tailwind and say, "Wow, I need that"?
I've had some really good responses. I mean, what's really fun about Tailwind is that I get to demo the product that I use to sell with.
Yeah.
And so what I do in a lot of demos is, as I'm walking through someone with the technology and how it works, during the call, I actually send them a branded website proposal, NDA, and content that's all been built in 5 minutes for
Wow.
them with their name, with their branding, and I walk them through how I did it. And so that's pretty fun to actually allow them to have the experience of building it with me in a demo environment. But I'm just excited to share this with everybody. I think that this
Yeah.
can really help a lot of sales
Well,
teams.
I like the idea of co-creating that sales process with the buyer because then buyers defend what they help create.
Yes. Yeah, this is a really good point, and this is where we can think about guided selling in the B2C side,
Yeah.
becoming something that's buyer facing on the B2B side. And so it doesn't have to be a form that a seller fills out. We can make these questions available to our prospects even before we've talked to them as a seller, and they can go through and fill out project information and generate for themselves a complex B2B proposal
Right.
before we even had a conversation.
Right.
And this is an opportunity that I think that we have on the B2B side that we should jump into.
Well, I want to let the audience know that Andy will be at the Sales 3.0 conference September 6th and 7th. And here's a QR code where you can sign up for the event. And I hope you'll join us live and you get a free selfie with Andy. How is that?
I don't know if it's exactly the keepsake I'd want to take home from Vegas, but maybe some poker winnings, right?
All right. Well, thank
It's
you
gonna be fun.
so
I'm looking forward to it. So my
Yeah,
first time at the conference, and I love what you guys have been doing. So looking forward to being there.
thank you, Andy. I look forward to seeing you there.
All right. Have a good one.